The Queen Who Saved Her People, The Story of Esther.
The year is approximately 483 BC. In the heart of the Persian Empire lies the grand capital of Susa, ruled by King Ahasuerus, whose power stretched from India to Kush. To show off his unimaginable wealth, King Ahasuerus held a feast for his officials and nobles, a celebration that lasted 180 days. Drunk on wine and pride, the king summoned his queen, Vashti, commanding her to appear before his male guests, wearing her royal crown. But Vashti, a queen of dignity and principle, refused the command. Her refusal sent shockwaves through the court. The king's advisors warned him that her disobedience would echo through the empire. Vashti was deposed and banished. The golden throne stood empty. A royal decree was issued. The most beautiful virgins from all 127 provinces would be brought to Susa for a year of purification. From among them, a new queen would be chosen. Among the women brought to the palace was Hadassah, a young Jewish orphan of the tribe of Benjamin. She had been raised in Susa by her kind, older cousin, Mordecai, who worked as an official at the king's gate. "Do not reveal your people or your family." Hadassah obeyed. Under the meticulous care of Haggai, the chief eunuch, she was given the Persian name Esther, meaning star. For 12 months, she underwent luxurious preparations, massages with oil of myrrh, treatments with costly perfumes and cosmetics, a regimen designed to make her flawless. When her turn came to stand before King Ahasuerus, Esther asked for nothing but what Haggai advised. She captivated the king not just with her beauty, but with her gentle spirit and grace. Ahasuerus loved Esther more than all the other women. He placed the royal crown on her head and declared her queen of the vast Persian Empire. Meanwhile, Mordecai remained at the palace gate. One day, he overheard 2 guards plotting to assassinate King Ahasuerus. Mordecai reported the conspiracy to Queen Esther, who informed the king, crediting Mordecai. The plot was investigated, the guards executed, and the event recorded in the official royal Book of Chronicles. Shortly after, the king elevated a proud noble above all the others, a man of towering arrogance and ambition. The king commanded that everyone should kneel and pay homage to this new favorite. Everyone bowed, except one quiet, resolute man who sat at the gate. Every day, as the noble passed, the man refused to bow, his conviction rooted in something deeper than custom. The proud noble burned with fury at this public defiance. Killing that one man would not satisfy him. When he learned the man belonged to a scattered people, he conceived a monstrous plan. He went to the king with the tale. A certain scattered people were dangerous and rebellious. Believing the noble's words and tempted by wealth, the king granted him authority, giving him the royal signet ring. With royal authority in hand, he sealed a decree to destroy an entire people. Copies of the decree were rushed to every province. On the appointed day, all from that scattered people were to be killed and their riches plundered. Fear spread like wildfire as the decree's meaning became clear. And so the kingdom waited for a day chosen by the casting of lots, when fate would be decided. The moment Mordecai heard the news, he tore his clothes, put on sackcloth and ashes, and wept bitterly in the city streets. Across the empire, the Jews wept and fasted, united in mourning. Queen Esther was distressed when she heard of Mordecai's public mourning. She sent him fresh clothes, but he refused them. Finally, she sent her eunuch, Hatak, to discover the reason for Mordecai's grief. Mordecai gave Hatak a copy of the decree, instructing him to show it to Esther and plead for her to go before the king. Esther replied, "It was known throughout the empire that anyone who entered the king's inner court uninvited would die, unless he extended his golden scepter. She had not been summoned for 30 days. Do not think that because you are in the king's house, you alone of all the Jews will escape. For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise from another place. But you and your father's family will perish. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this?" Esther was moved. "Go, gather together all the Jews who are in Susa, and fast for me. I and my attendants will also fast. When this is done, I will go to the king, even though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish." On the third day, dressed in her full royal robes, Esther entered the inner court. The king, sitting on his throne, was pleased by her appearance. He immediately extended the golden scepter. "What is your request, Queen Esther? It shall be given you, even up to half my kingdom." Esther, using her wisdom and timing, made a simple request: a private banquet with the king and Haman. Haman left the palace that day, full of pride. But when he saw the man at the gate still refusing to bow, his pride turned to bitter fury. At his wife's suggestion, Haman built a gallows, 50 cubits high, intended for the man who defied him. That night, the king could not sleep. To pass the time, he ordered the royal Book of Chronicles to be read to him. The reader reached the record of the foiled assassination plot, and the king asked, "What honor or distinction has been bestowed on Mordecai for this?" "Nothing has been done for him," came the reply. At that exact moment, the proud noble entered the outer court, ready to ask for Mordecai's execution. What shall be done for the man whom the king delights to honor? Thinking the king meant to honor him, the noble gave an extravagant answer. "Hurry! Take the robes and the horse, and do just as you said, for Mordecai the Jew who sits at the king's gate." Haman was forced to lead his enemy through the streets, shouting his own words of honor. That evening, the king and the proud noble attended Esther's second banquet. "What is your petition, Queen Esther? It shall be granted you." This was Esther's moment. "If I have found favor in your sight, O king, grant me my life. This is my petition. And spare my people. This is my request. For we have been sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, killed, and annihilated. Who is he? Where is the man who has dared to do this? The adversary and enemy is this wicked man." Terror seized the man as the king rose in fury. The king stormed into the garden, his fury unchecked. When he returned, he saw the man collapsed on Esther's couch, begging for his life. Will he even molest the queen in my own house? The guards immediately covered the noble's face. One of the king's eunuchs spoke. There is a gallows, 50 cubits high. Hang him on it. And so, the man was executed on the very gallows he had built for the one he scorned. Haman's estate was given to Esther, and she placed Mordecai in charge of it. Mordecai was brought before the king and given the royal signet ring, replacing the man he had once refused to bow to. But the deadly decree, sealed with the king's ring, could not be revoked. Instead, Mordecai and Esther issued a new decree, sealed with the king's authority. This new law allowed the Jews to gather and defend themselves on the appointed day. On the 13th day of the 12th month, the Jews stood united to defend their lives. Because of the fear of Mordecai and the king's favor, no one stood against them. The Jews emerged victorious. They turned a day of fear and mourning into a festival of joy. Purim. Esther, the beautiful orphan who kept her secret, had used her position not for power, but to save her people. Her legacy is one of courage, timing, and divine providence. Sometimes, being brave doesn't mean you're not afraid. It just means you choose to do the right thing anyway. You are here for a reason. Even if you feel small, you might be part of something bigger than you know. Stand up for what's right, even if you're standing alone. When others are in trouble, use your voice to help. You can make a difference. No one is too small to be part of something big. When good things happen, celebrate. Be thankful. Share your joy. Real leaders use their position to help others, not to rule over them. Queen Esther chose courage, kindness, and faith. And because of her, a whole people were saved. You were made for such a time as this.
Thanks for joining the adventure. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and dream big. See you in the next tiny tale.